Hey everyone, welcome to a deep dive into a topic that's really got us thinking, where AI and energy collide. We're zeroing in on a talk by Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA.
Right, during National Clean Energy Week.
Yeah, exactly. He had some really interesting insights, especially on something he calls accelerated computing.
I think a lot of people hear that and think, well, isn't all computing already fast?
I know I did. But Huang explains it like this. Imagine trying to build a car, a truck, and a van, all with the same team, starting from scratch each time. Super inefficient, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So think of accelerated computing as having dedicated factories for each vehicle type. Instead of a one-size-fits-all processor, you've got specialized ones designed for specific tasks, especially the complex calculations AI needs.
It's like the difference between a generalist and a specialist. You get much better, faster results when you have the right tools for the job. And for AI, that translates to not just speed, but energy efficiency too.
Which is a pretty big deal when we're talking about the energy demands of AI.
Yeah.
So is this technology going to help us solve our energy problems or make them worse?
That's the paradox Huang brings up. On one hand, training AI requires massive amounts of data processing, which uses a lot of energy. It's like teaching a kid to ride a bike. It takes a lot of effort up front.
Okay, so where does the helping part come in?
Think of it this way. Once that kid learns to ride, they can go a lot farther, using less energy than someone who's just starting out.
So the initial energy investment pays off in the long run.
Exactly. And Huang points to weather prediction as a prime example. Traditional weather models require huge amounts of computing power, which equals a lot of energy consumption.
So we're talking about teaching AI to predict the weather. How does that actually work?
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. You feed an AI tons of data, historical weather patterns, all that stuff, and it learns, right? It figures out how to identify those patterns and make predictions based on what it's seen before.
Okay, but isn't that what our current weather models do?
Sort of, but here's the difference. AI can do it with a fraction of the energy. We're talking about a potential reduction of thousands of times less energy.
Thousands. That's insane. Are there any real-world examples of this playing out?
Absolutely. Imagine more accurate weather forecasting for agriculture.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
Farmers could better plan for droughts or floods.
Exactly. And it goes beyond that. Disaster preparedness, planning your weekend getaway, all those decisions influenced by the weather become more efficient, less wasteful.
It's amazing how something we take for granted, like checking the weather, could have such a big impact. But Huang doesn't stop at weather prediction.
No, not at all. He talks about AI optimizing our energy grids, making them smarter. Have you heard of smart grids?
Yeah, vaguely. It's like making the grid more efficient, right? Less waste.
Exactly. Right now, we lose a ton of energy through transmission and all sorts of inefficiencies.
It's like having a leaky faucet. You never realize how much you're wasting.
Perfect analogy. AI can help plug those leaks. It can predict energy demands, optimize how energy is distributed, even integrate things like electric car batteries into the grid.
Wait, what? How does that work?
Think about it. Your electric car is basically a giant battery on wheels. AI can manage when those batteries are charged, using excess energy from the grid when it's cheap and plentiful.
And then feeding it back to the grid during peak demand times.
Boom. It's like having a giant distributed energy storage system. And that's just one example. Huang also talks about AI revolutionizing carbon capture, which is another really energy-intensive process.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Sucking carbon dioxide out of the air, right?
Exactly. It's still an emerging technology, but AI can help us pinpoint the best locations for storing that captured carbon, making the whole process more efficient.
So we're talking about AI making renewable energy more viable, optimizing our grids, even cleaning up our carbon emissions. It's a lot to take in.
It is, and it raises some interesting questions. If we can use AI to solve these energy-intensive problems, will we just find new ways to use that saved energy?
Right. Will it actually reduce our consumption or just shift it around?
Exactly. And that's not even considering the energy demands of AI itself.
Oh, right. Because all of this AI stuff requires a ton of computing power, which means more energy use, right?
That's right. And Huang highlights a really interesting concept he calls AI factories.
AI factories. It sounds kind of ominous, to be honest. What exactly is an AI factory?
Think of it this way. We use our phones in bursts, right? Check messages, scroll through a feed, then we put it down.
Right. It's not constant.
Exactly. But AI factories, they never sleep. They're constantly processing data, training models, doing those complex calculations 204/7.
So it's like, instead of just powering our homes and businesses, we're talking about the energy needed to run a whole city that never shuts down.
That's a great analogy. It's a continuous, massive energy demand that we need to factor into all of this. We can't just tack it onto our existing energy grid. We need a different way of thinking about energy generation and distribution.
Okay, so where does that leave us? Where are we supposed to find all this energy?
Well, Huang suggests looking at it from a multi-pronged approach. He emphasizes diversifying our energy sources, looking at nuclear power, continuing to invest in renewables like solar and wind.
'Cause we're not putting all our eggs in one basket.
Right. And then he gets into some really interesting ideas, like using excess energy from things like Bitcoin mining, which uses a ton of energy, to potentially power AI training.
Wow, that's thinking outside the box for sure. Using what's essentially a byproduct of one energy-intensive process to fuel another. It's clear that we're not just talking about small tweaks here. This is a total energy paradigm shift. But it's not just about the energy, right? Huang seems to believe AI will touch every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely. He sees a future where AI is embedded in every industry, every profession. Doctors using AI to diagnose diseases with incredible accuracy, lawyers using it to analyze legal cases, even artists using it as a creative partner.
It's like AI becomes this invisible assistant, augmenting our abilities in ways we can barely imagine right now.
Exactly. And the exciting thing is that this isn't some distant future. Wang himself uses an AI tool called Perplexity every single day. It's like a superpowered research assistant, able to process information and answer complex questions almost instantly.
It's like having access to all the world's knowledge, right at your
Yeah.
fingertips. But if there's one thing I'm taking away from Huang's insights, it's that we can't be afraid of this technology.
He's very clear about that. Those who embrace AI, who learn to use it effectively, those are the people who will thrive in this new world. It's not a threat, it's a tool.
It's a tool for empowerment.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that AI and energy are inextricably linked. And the future holds incredible possibilities. But as with any powerful tool, it's up to us to shape this technology responsibly and ethically.